The lights on set had barely dimmed when whispers began to ripple through the crowd, quiet at first, almost hesitant, as if no one wanted to be the first to say it out loud. Tian Xiwei stood there, smiling softly, unaware that within moments, everything people thought they knew about her would begin to shift. She had always carried herself with a calm, almost gentle confidence, the kind that didn't demand attention but effortlessly earned it. Fans admired her not just for her beauty, but for the sincerity that seemed to radiate from her every word and gesture. For Tian Xiwei, acting had never been about fame alone. It was about storytelling, about becoming someone else, even if only for a moment. But that night felt different. There was a tension in the air, subtle yet undeniable, as cameras continued to flash and reporters leaned in closer than usual. It wasn't just another press interaction. Something was building beneath the surface, something no one could quite name yet, but everyone could feel. And then came Zhang Linghe. He walked onto the stage with his usual composed demeanor, his expression calm, almost unreadable. For years, he had been known for his professionalism, his ability to separate personal emotions from the public eye. He wasn't someone who spoke impulsively. Every word he chose was deliberate, which is why what happened next left everyone stunned. At first, it seemed like a routine question, one of those harmless prompts about on-screen chemistry, about how actors build connections to make their performances feel real. Tian Xiwei had heard it countless times before, and she answered with her usual grace, speaking about trust, communication, and mutual respect. But when the same question was directed at Zhang Linghe, there was a pause. A long, noticeable pause. He looked at Tian Xiwei, not briefly, not casually, but with a depth that instantly changed the atmosphere. The room, once filled with murmurs and movement, grew quiet. Cameras stopped clicking. Even the reporters seemed to hold their breath. And then he spoke. His words were calm, but there was something beneath them. Something raw, something unfiltered. He didn't just talk about acting or professionalism. He spoke about emotions, about connections that go beyond scripts and scenes. He spoke about moments that couldn't be rehearsed. Tian Xiwei's smile faltered, just slightly. It was the kind of shift only the most attentive fans would notice, but it was there. A flicker of surprise, of something deeper, perhaps even uncertainty. It was clear that whatever Zhang Linghe was saying, she hadn't expected it. No one had. He continued, his voice steady, admitting that sometimes the line between acting and reality can blur. That sometimes feelings develop in ways you don't anticipate, no matter how carefully you try to control them. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Social media would later explode with interpretations, theories, and debates. But in that moment, there was only silence, thick, almost overwhelming silence. Tian Xiwei lowered her gaze for a brief second, as if collecting her thoughts. When she looked back up, her expression had changed. It was still composed, still professional, but there was a new layer to it, something more guarded. For someone who had always seemed so open, it was a noticeable shift. The host quickly attempted to steer the conversation back to safer territory, offering a light-hearted comment, but the damage, or perhaps the revelation, had already been done. The atmosphere couldn't return to what it was before, because now, everyone was watching them differently. Every glance, every subtle movement, every word carried weight. Fans began to revisit past interviews, old behind-the-scenes clips, searching for clues they might have missed. Had there been signs all along? Moments that, in hindsight, meant more than they seemed? For Tian Xiwei, it must have felt surreal. She had built her career carefully, step by step, always mindful of how she presented herself to the world. She understood the pressures of fame, the way even the smallest detail could be magnified and scrutinized. And yet, in one unexpected moment, everything had changed. Zhang Linghe's confession, because that's what many began calling it, wasn't dramatic or loud. It wasn't the kind of declaration you'd see in a scripted romance. But perhaps that's what made it so powerful. It felt real. Too real. As the event came to an end, both actors maintained their professionalism, smiling for the cameras, exchanging polite words with the press. But there was an undeniable shift in their dynamic, something that couldn't be easily explained or dismissed. Fans noticed it immediately. Online, discussions spread like wildfire. Some were excited, seeing it as confirmation of a connection they had long suspected. Others were more cautious, questioning whether the moment had been misinterpreted or taken out of context. But one thing was certain, no one was indifferent. Tian Xiwei remained silent in the days that followed. No clarifications, no statements, no attempts to address the growing speculation. It was a silence that spoke volumes, leaving fans to wonder what she was thinking, what she was feeling. Was she surprised? Overwhelmed? Or perhaps conflicted? Zhang Linghe, on the other hand, continued with his schedule, appearing as composed as ever. But even in his calmness, there was a subtle difference, something that suggested he knew the impact of what he had said. And yet, he didn't take it back. That alone made the situation even more intriguing. Because in an industry where words are often carefully managed and emotions carefully hidden, honesty, especially unexpected honesty, can be both powerful and risky. For Tian Xiwei, this was never part of the plan. She had never imagined that a single moment could shift the narrative so dramatically, that something so personal could become such a public conversation. And yet, here she was at the center of it all. The question now wasn't just about what Zhang Linghe had said. It was about what it meant. And perhaps more importantly, what would happen next. Because sometimes, the most unexpected moments are the ones that change everything.